The Japanese government has exposed another lie of Assassin's Creed Shadows collaborator Thomas Lockley. He mistook a word that he believes translates to a black person, which the Japanese government says is incense. You literally cannot make this stuff up. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And so, just to be clear, Thomas Lockley is indeed a collaborator with Ubisoft on Assassin's Creed Shadows. He made this abundantly clear when he did an appearance for an episode of the company's Echoes of History podcast titled Yasuke, the first African samurai podcast. The description of the episode states, Yasuke is one of the most captivating and yet mysterious figures within Japanese history. That's absolutely not true. There's almost nothing written about this guy. In 1581, at the height of the Civil War, he crossed paths with the country's most powerful warlord, Oda Nobunaga. Their meeting bound the two men together, and set Yasuke on a path to becoming the first known samurai of African descent in Japan. Again, that is heavily disputed. One Japanese historian has come out and said that he was more than likely an entertainer and a bodyguard and was not a samurai. Delving into the history behind one of the two main characters in the latest Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Matt Lewis and Thomas Lockley examine the few surviving historical sources to reveal what we know about Yasuke, Japan's first African samurai. The description concludes with making it clear it's produced by Ubisoft, saying Echoes of History is a Ubisoft podcast brought to you by History Hit. So clearly, he did indeed collaborate with Ubisoft, at least for this podcast appearance. My guess is he did much more. They're literally bringing him to discuss Yasuke, who is one of their main characters in Assassin's Creed Shadows. We just don't know to what extent they collaborated with Thomas Lockley for, but clearly they did indeed do that. If you want more information about this, here's right here. He says, to find out more about this notorious and yet mysterious figure from Japanese history, I'm joined by Thomas Lockley, associate professor at Nihon University in Tokyo and author of African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke. So they're clearly using those as kind of show he has expertise in this area. The book that he wrote, which has now been labeled fiction by many people in Japan and across the West now, since that's been brought to our attention and people have been digging into this guy. So I think it's pretty clear that he was brought in due to his work on African Samurai, The True Story of Yasuke, which they literally cite up there in their podcast episode, to work on this game. I think it's very clear he worked on the game. He was consulting with them on the game. So we do have this report. It came from Tebow at Minimal Effort Podcast. Shout out to him. But the Genma Prefecture, which is a Japanese governmental body, noted that Lockley misinterpreted the word kuroho during a television special titled Black Samurai Yasuke, the African Samurai Who Survived Nobunaga, which aired in Japan. So in the archives of the Genma Prefecture's website, I used DeepL to translate this. A question is asked. I have heard that an ancient document in the Genma Prefecture archives contains a description of a kuroho, black man. Is this true? So this is what the government entity, or this is how the government entity responded. In the Kuruma family document, number 1, letter of Kiyomasa Kato, year unknown, addressed to Matezaman Shimokawa and others, the word kuroho appears in a description related to Hideyoshi Toyotomi's invasion of Korea. In Black Samurai Yasuke, the African samurai who served Nobunaga, broadcast on NHK BS4K on March 30, 2021, Thomas Lockley, associate professor of Nihon University, stated that the kuroho mentioned in this document may be the successor of Yasuke, a black samurai who served Oda Nobunaga. The document is a kuroho document. The government continued saying, first of all, we at the archives have not recognized this kuroho as a black person at all, and we are surprised by Mr. Lockley's suggestion. In fact, whether or not this kuroho was Yasuke, there had been a view that he was presumed to be black. Nakijima Rakuwaki, 16th century, late Kyushu, Southeast Asia trade. Shigaku Zashi obviously just citing that document there. At this point, however, it is difficult to make a definite determination since the blacks appear in only one place in this document. For example, the word kuroho also appears in the tale of Genji, which means needed incense and seems to occur frequently in Japanese classics. In addition, some of our staff members have suggested that it would be more natural to see it as a description of an object rather than a person when rating our documents. Based on the above, it is the opinion of the archives staff of the museum that it is difficult to immediately conclude that Kuroho is a Black person at this point in time. So this guy is literally misinterpreting Japanese words. This Genma Prefecture and the museum there and their archive staff calling Thomas Lockley out on this, noting that this guy is getting things significantly wrong. And this just appears to be another piece of evidence that shows this guy is a giant liar. And a lot of the things that he has said about Yasuke is a lie. We've seen this. One of the biggest lies he's told is that he has had nothing to do with Assassin's Creed Shadows. We know that's not the case. We just read the podcast description that he appeared on that was literally produced by Ubisoft and was used to promote Assassin's Creed Shadows. So he clearly has something to do with the game. And he posted this on Facebook. He said, "Thank you for your support over the years. Due to hate mail connected with the Assassin's Creed game, with which I have nothing to do and have no intention of playing, but many people seem to think I am responsible for, I will be freezing this account. I hope not forever, but who knows?" So he's clearly lying. He literally does have something to do with the Assassin's Creed game. He is literally trying to validate, at the very least, validate their decision to have Yasuke as one of the main characters. So he's lying there. He obviously did indeed have something to do with it. He doubled down on this lie in an interview on the Lance E. Lee podcast from Tokyo on YouTube. Lockley said, "I don't know whether the game Assassin's Creed should have him as the main character or should have somebody else as main character. Quite frankly, I don't care." Lee then asks him, "But you have nothing to do with it anyway?" And he replies, "Nothing to do with it." Again, we know this is not the case. He appeared on that podcast that was produced by Ubisoft to promote Assassin's Creed Shadows. Nevertheless, Lee then asks, "You see no royalties or anything?" Lockley said, No, it was nothing to do. Though my book is starting to sell well again, which is nice. That's nice." He then added, "But don't attack Yasuke as a man. Let's remember this man for who he was and the great things that he did." Interestingly, after I reported on that, I don't know, probably a month ago or so now, I went back and checked it, and Lance E. Lee has removed the video from YouTube. You can see this right here. Video unavailable. The video has been removed by the uploader. So this guy is literally getting other people to take down videos now, or at least that is what it looks like, in order to hide his lies. I mean, how many more lies has this guy told? And Ubisoft clearly bought it hook, line, and sinker. They did not do their research. They are constantly saying, "Oh, we did our research. We're being authentically accurate." No, they are not. It's very obvious that they have not done that. And they clearly did not do that with Thomas Lockley, who has just been caught in another major lie. And again, kudos to Tebow over at the Minimal Effort podcast for sending me this tip and pointing me onto this. Did great work here finding this. And the Genma Prefecture obviously did a really good job too by noting that this is completely and utterly wrong, or at least their staff believes it is wrong, saying that it is difficult to immediately conclude that Kuroho is a Black person at this point in time. But what do you make of Lockley getting exposed for another lie? Just another one. I mean, how many more are we going to find? But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, especially to each other, but to always speak the truth.